How's it going again? It's been a while since I last made a video. Been busy working on a couple of things, but I bought myself a Porsche Cayenne since then. So when I was thinking about what car I want to get myself next, this wasn't even in the list. I had a couple of cars shortlisted, including the Range Rover Sport 2nd generation. But then this one just came to my mind out of nowhere, and I started looking into them, and I decided that I prefer this over the Range Rover Sport. So I bought it, and I don't think I made a bad decision. Turns out I've changed my mind, and I prefer this to the Range Rover Sport 2nd gen. And yes, by the way, that is my personal private plate. I remember playing a James Bond game on PS2 called Everything or Nothing, and it's usually Aston Martins. Well, it was, but there was a Porsche Cayenne in there as well, and I used to come back from school and play that game and think that would be a nice car to have one day. But that was obviously the 1st generation one, which came out in 2002. 2nd gen goes from 2011 till 2018. The facelift was introduced in 2014, which has very minor changes, and I was looking at that and I thought it's not worth paying the extra money just for, minor exterior changes. They do come in petrols and diesels, and from 2014 onwards the hybrid version was introduced as well, but I don't know why you'd want a hybrid in this anyway. The main petrol models are the 3.6 and the 4.8 V8, and the diesels are the 3 litre, 4.1 and 4.2. Before I go into the interior, I want to show you the key. Now, have you ever seen a key shaped like a car? I presume it's the shape of the Porsche Panamera, but quite a cool feature to have. So before you switch the ignition on, the Porsche badge usually comes up on the screen, reminds you that you're in a Cayenne. Now, whilst I'm focusing on the steering, it does have the paddle shift gear changing, but it doesn't have steering wheel stereo controls, because Porsche give you an option to choose the one with or the classic look without. Now, being a Porsche, it has a huge focus on the rev counter in the middle, and it also has a sat-nav display there in colour. Now, you don't get much storage on the centre console here, but you can put this down and cover the cup holders as well if you want. Memory seats function is on the door, so you can set your drive height and position from there. 3 driving modes: comfort, normal and sport. It has the air suspension on the right and different modes on the left. So with all those different driving modes and ride heights, you can just drive over things instead of driving around them like normal people. So like I said, they come in both V6 and V8 petrols, V6, V8 diesel, and a hybrid version as well. The drive on it, I feel like it's a little bit more bumpier than the Range Rover Sport, but that's probably because it's more of a sportier SUV, so that's expected. But it's not a huge noticeable difference. If you're comparing both the 3 litre diesel engines on both cars, the Porsche Cayenne has 245 brake horse, whereas the Range Rover has 254. 0 to 60 on the Range Rover is about 7.1 seconds, whereas it's 7.6 seconds on the Porsche. But the top speed on the Porsche is higher than the top speed that the Range Rover Sport does. The Cayenne's 3 litre diesel engine will give you a top speed of 136 miles an hour, whereas the Range Rover goes up to 130. The other thing to notice is that the rear view is not the greatest in this car, especially if you've got tinted windows, but you just have to get used to it. And as you probably noticed already, it does only have 5 seats, whereas the Range Rover Sport offers you a 7-seater option as well. The headrests do come with the Porsche logo on them, front and back, as you can see. You probably can't see from here, but they do. I believe it is an optional extra, and they do charge over 100 quid just to have the logo on then, if I'm not mistaken. Sport button, stop start, which you can turn on and off as well. But this center console right here is one of the best features of the car, I think. In my opinion, it is probably the best center console I've seen in a car, or one of the best. And it looks just as good in the daytime than it does at night as well. You do get the sat-nav display on the middle as well as on the rev counter. And that, by the way, is a clock with a compass around it, so as you move the car as you're driving it, it changes around. So in case you're a geography teacher, that might come in useful. Which, by the way, I am sort of half a qualified geography teacher. Decent amount of glove box storage. It's not huge, but it is a decent amount. But the most strange thing about this one is Porsche don't include heated seats as standard. They are an optional extra. It does also have handles here, so if you're driving how you're not supposed to be driving, then your passenger has something to hold on to. Panoramic roof, which opens or you can tilt it up. And of course, if you don't want it, you can close it as well. Plenty of space at the back, as you would expect in an SUV, and a lot of head height as well. The seats, you can tilt them forward or recline them if you need. And if you do need extra storage in the boot, the seats do move forward as well. 670 litres of storage capacity in the boot, which is actually less than the Range Rover Sport, which has 784 litres. But if you fold the seats, this one has more than the Range Rover Sport, which is 1,780 litres compared to 1,761 litres in the Range Rover Sport. If you're deciding between the V8 diesel Cayenne or the V6 diesel Cayenne, the V8 has about 135 brake horsepower more, but do you really need that much? Are you ever going to use it? Probably not. The Cayennes are chain driven engines, so you don't have to worry about changing the timing belt or anything like that, whereas the Range Rover Sports, most of them have a timing belt. And of course, there's the reliability thing as well. Range Rovers are known to be not the most reliable cars, but people still go for them. But of course, this being a Porsche, I'd expect it to be a bit more reliable. So chances are, someday you might drive past a Range Rover that's broken down inside, and you can just give it a bit of a wave in your Porsche. But that's not to say that I wouldn't buy a Range Rover Sport. I would buy one. I've had one before and I'd buy one again. But in comparison of the two, I would probably say the Cayenne just about